turned the whole game around. And this was like the Division 1A state championship finals, Northern Cal versus Southern Cal at what was that, JUCO? I think it was Lakewood. No, it wasn't. It was Cerritos College. So in the fourth quarter, Sierra Cannon's driving the ball. Now Jaden Casey he was partially in the end zone when he threw it, but he threw a ball to avoid a sack, and the ball went downfield. It went downfield, way past the line of scrimmage. Shouldn't have been rough. Should have been intentional grounding. You only throw intentional grounding if there's no receiver in the area and it didn't get past the line of scrimmage. But he threw it. There was a receiver in the area. It was over his head, so he wouldn't have caught it. But he threw it, and they literally called it a safety and gave Central the ball back. That pretty much ended the game. All the parents are booing. They were hissing. And I was like, I've never seen referees just take a game away from another team. The way I saw this reminded me back when I used to play at Lawndale, where the referees would just make blatantly bad calls. And everybody was like, what? And yeah, fuck you, a lot of you high school referees. Because y'all robbed some kids of a state. Y'all robbed them of a chance to come back. Because they fought back in that game. It was on we're driving 99 yards with 2 minutes left in the game after they got to stop. And I just don't understand how unfairly that game was called. How the refs were literally not calling it. You could have called intentional grounding on Central's QB at least 15 times in the first half. Because all he would do was throw off his back foot. He felt some pressure. Throw off his back foot in the vicinity of a receiver. But it was 10 feet over his head. So there's no way he can catch it. Uncatchable ball. Threw it out of bounds. The ball that Casey threw was in the field of play. He just threw it downfield. Yeah, there was no one there. But that's not intentional grounding. You're allowed to do that. Now, if you just throw it to the sideline, that's illegal. But anyway, it's BS. Happy holidays, everybody. And congrats to all you high school kids going on to college and picking your school of choice. But just know it's a business decision, and it'll impact the rest of your life, hopefully positively. So make good choices.
That was a nice note to end on. So, First of all, I gotta address the bullshit that happened on Sunday in terms of the Raiders losing to an undrafted QB-led Jacksonville 4-9 team.
6-round QB.
Oh, I'm sorry, 6-round QB. Anyways, they lost to a dude with a porn stash.
Where's Jorts?
In the fourth quarter, they couldn't get it done once again. We got to talk about the fact that Gruden and really the Raiders, even last year of Del Rio, have not been a second half team, and that's a big testament to coaching. What sort of adjustments are you doing? How are you adapting? How are you evolving? It's a big issue. So as much as I've been kind of skeptical of Carr and his future and all that, warranted, but Gruden and the coaching staff, Gunther, all of them deserve some of that shit too, because ultimately the offense only scored 14 points in their final game in Oakland. Everybody who was there, even Marcus Allen's bum, I only played for LA Raiders ass, was there, said it was rocking, it was crazy, it was a one-of-a-kind of experience. It felt like a playoff game. Lincoln Kennedy said he was ready to suit up. Charles Woodson was ready to go. People were fired up. It was an experience. Marshawn Lynch was passing out shots. Checking IDs and passing out shots. So it was it was about as good of an ending as you could have to the car wreck that the Raiders in Oakland 2.0 has been. Wow. Play on words there. But yeah. Point is, it's over. It sucks, and it sucks even more that the Raiders lost like that to that team when they had a tiny chance of the playoffs. They still couldn't even find that extra gear to will their way to a win over a Jacksonville Jaguars team that essentially just fired their figurehead, traded away their best player, and is just an all-around mess. That's who you took your final L to in Oakland. And honestly, when you really think about it, there really isn't a better way to end Oakland 2.0 than that, because guess what? The Raiders came to Oakland on the promise of bringing Super Bowls. They didn't deliver. Oakland wanted luxury stadiums. They wanted an extra facility, which blocked out the view of the mountains from the home side of the field. And guess what? They couldn't even fill it up. They wanted to end all the blackouts. Barely did that the past 3 years. It was only after relocation that they could finally sell out the arena and not black it out. And so, yeah, man, this past 2 decades in Oakland has been a mess. One playoff berth in 17 years. And there really isn't a better way for it to end. And yeah, there was something else I wanted to say, but I got caught up on that. So on that note, the only other thing I have to say is, you know, in an organization, no matter what size you're at, the culture starts at the top, and the culture, it's got to be a balance between establishing yourself, between acting like a incumbent, but also moving like an underdog. You have to have that hunger to keep pushing, to find a way to make it happen. But also you got to move like you've been there before, and regardless of whatever business you're in. And when you have that at the leadership, when you have that at the top, it's really a trickle down effect, and it can be a beautiful thing. But when you don't, it's trash. And yeah, man, I already shouted out the Seahawks, but shout out to them again. Shout out to Pete Carroll. They've really been getting slept on. Yeah, that's it. So on that note, have a happy holidays. What I really mean to say is have a Merry Christmas. But yeah, have a happy holidays.
Shout out to Clark Phillips. Shout out to Clark Phillips III. He was like an Ohio State commit like the whole time, and he flipped to Utah. He's the highest rated commit in Utah football history. So yeah, there you go.
Next week's show should be a lot of fun. Last show of the decade. Probably go over some all-decade stuff.
I might cry. I'm going to bring candy and liquor and ice cream.
We got the Rose Bowl coming up, which should also be fun. Draft season's here. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, but we're really going to reflect on how we ended this decade. Because, I mean, obviously 10 years ago, me and Pete didn't know each other. But the through line, it's weird. There's a lot of kinship and continuity there. But yeah, should be fun. So, be quite nostalgic. Might even invite a bunch of people to come along and just chill in the studio. You never know what might happen, but yeah.
And yeah, if you didn't catch the debate, it's worth watching now, since
Loyola Marymount.
Since the candidate pool is getting a little bit smaller, so people are actually have enough time to talk about their ideas and attack each other. So it's getting a little bit more fun. I think the debates are on the rest till February. There might be one in January. I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Mancini.
Yeah. And also, man, hug your loved ones, especially the elderly people this time of year, because it's rough for them. And you never know what's going to happen, if they're going to make it to that next year with you. So just, be grateful for the older people in your family, the older mentors. Let them know that you appreciate them and you care about them.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing. Follow up to the poll earlier this week. I posed the question, who's more likely to play in a game first? Is it going to be Josh Gordon, or is it going to be Antonio Brown? Gordon got an indefinite suspension for once again failing the substance abuse policy. Well, AB is still being AB. He's calling God, DMing the devil, whatever you want to say. Canceling white women in 2020. But yeah, he's also rumored to be getting a 6-game suspension even if he does get re-signed. So I posed the question, who's more likely to play? Touchdowns and tangents followers overwhelmingly went with AB, saying that he's more likely to play in the game in the NFL. So I just wanted to follow up on that. TDs_tangents on Twitter, Instagram. You can go there, find us, follow us, find us on your favorite podcast app. Shout out to the X Squad affiliates. Shout out to FBC Radio. Shout out to the Good News. Shout out to the Good News Sports. And yeah, have a good week.
Peace. Shout out to the Southern section for creating new high school transfer rules at the last second. We'll talk about that next week.